is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news and intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversations. 96.9 FM. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the management and staff of Guardian Radio.
La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. I represent Bahamian people. I from Nassau, Bahamas, big up Baytown, bro. Where I from Baytown, bro. Right between West and Augusta, where them two roads meet, they call it Wilkinson Street. Manners and respect was like a sign blank check. It seems the ones that coming after quick to disrespect. You see, this life in the ghetto never easy. So many hungry days break till it grieve me. But I doing the best I can, trying to turn my dollar to 100 grand. I represent the ghetto people. I from Nassau, Bahamas, big up Baytown, bro. Where I from Baytown, bro. Don't take no back talk, no bribe or no joke. If you find fire, you definitely find smoke. Baytown, bro. Where I from Baytown, bro. Baytown, I say up and running.
Good night, Bahamas, and welcome to Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. I am your host, Valentino, a.k.a. Scrooge, or Daddy or Governor, host of the talk show Inside the Inner City that premieres every Friday at 6:30 to 8 p.m., except holidays. Telephone numbers tonight are 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259, and you can text us powered by BTC at 422-GR96. And to all the listeners, I want to give a warm welcome to each and every one of you. Blessed New Year. I hope this year is a little more prosperous than last year and that you achieve whatever you put your hearts and hard work and your desire to, that you achieve it. Today's show, we're going to talk about some news that is happening in the country. We're talking a little bit about 7,000 families on food assistance. We talk about ex-police chief staff association convicted, Mr. Miller. We talk about the Andres fire blaze. No fire truck came to show you the progress. We have a long way to go when we want to see the progress that we want to see in this country, because yet still communities that are around the country that have a high density population seems to have the adequate equipment in their settlement. We're talking places like Andres. I think, again, the MPs who are in charge of these communities, they should know that where you have numerous people, houses, etc., there's a population, it should be a requirement to have a fire engine that is suitable, that is time-consuming to assist that community. And I think that a lot of the MPs, even though they're doing the best that they can, but the only time they take things serious is when incidents happen, then they make adjustments and try to find the solution to the problem. But sometimes the problem is be right in front of your face. It's just the fact that you didn't do your research and made it a priority. And, it's all around the country. Even here in the Bahamas, we had an ambulance shortage. We had fire engine trucks that were unavailable to fires that occurred in Nassau, New Providence over the years. And recently we had some fires. Hotel Corona, I think that's on Bay Street, East Bay Street, that was on fire for a few hours, and they had to reroute fire engines from the airport, So we have a long, long way to go. So we have to keep on pushing and keep on talking about the problems and hope that the powers to be who we elect decides to make it a priority to make the tools and equipment necessary for each one of these communities that has a high dense population across the archipelago of the Bahamas. we have to make provisions to make sure that citizens have the proper tools and government supposed to provide it. So yes, last week on the show, anything I talk about in the show, you see the newspaper like in the next week. And last week on the show, we were talking about the connection between the Bahamas and if we kind of cross the line as when it comes to offending the United States, when it comes to the Bahamas at large being responsible for illegal narcotics entered the United States by some of our top government officials or top law enforcement departments who are being charged with various different crimes in the country. So I talk about what we have to offer to the United States of America. I do my research and I do the study on what we have to offer to the United States of America. And they need us as much as we need them. Because I told you about our Bahamian water. And we protect the United States of America and they protect us. We go hand in hand. And that's one of the main reasons they really, really need us. Our waters, our 700 islands, 700 keys, and the miles stretch of thousands of miles of water that stretches from one part of the Caribbean to the next part. It's a gateway. And in that gateway, it's a shipping lane. And in that shipping lane, it's like roads, and it saves a lot of fuel, whether you're on freighters, cruise ships, whatever. It saves you, like the Panama Canal, and the Bahamas is like a gateway just as well, because ships have to pass through. Our airspace also is very important as well. But our waters and the Bahamas is actually one of the most protected places in the world because the U.S. is so close to the Bahamas that they use our waters for nuclear subtraining or subtraining subs, nuclear subs. Sometimes you look on Facebook and you'll see places like Freeport and places close to Andros where you'd see a submarine emerging once in a while. You wonder why? Because they use our water. Because they have to protect the Bahamas waters because they don't want no nuclear ships, nuclear submarines coming through and sneak to drop a nuclear weapon or terrorists on the shores of the United States of America. And they use the Bahamian water as a protection barrier. As you're going to listen to the new ambassador to the Bahamas, Mr. Herschel Walker. We're going to play the clip, and then we're going to play one more clip, then we're going to get down to the top story tonight that covers a lot of topics around the country today. Go ahead, Mr. Chris.
Is American security. Our nation faces shared challenges of illegal migration, transnational crime, drug trafficking, and the need to secure our borders. By working together, we will be better equipped to confront whatever challenges comes our way.
Within the State Partnership Program, there are many U.S. states partners with nations around the world. However, I can confidently say that this partnership stands among the best. The Bahamas has long been recognized as the gateway to the United States. Activities within our waters directly affect the United States, both positively and negatively, including the exploitation of our region for illicit activities. Through this partnership and others supported by the United States, the Royal Bahamas Defense Force has been better positioned to protect our borders while collaborating closely to safeguard your border.
Yeah. So I know these things because I do the research, and that's how important we are to the United States of America. Also, how important it is the U.S. is important to the Bahamas with the partnership. So that's one of the reasons they ain't coming too hard on us, but they still are watching us closely because, anyone who traffic drugs, citizens of any country or country at large that makes dangerous drugs, cocaine, and whatever it could be, fentanyl and anything like that, and you transporting it into the United States of America, they will target you. But the Bahamas has a great partnership, and we don't make drugs in the Bahamas, but we do have some of our law enforcement and some of our citizens who is making it very hard for Bahamians who are law-abiding citizens who live in this country who have no connection to no type of legal activities. There are some people who would get the Bahamian citizenship and they live in America, and they would use that citizenship as a way to get to and fro from America, because Americans don't really target Bahamians. But now, since of all this drug trafficking and high officials and government police department, government defense force, they are working more closely with us and monitoring the situation with our authorities. Now, what has happened now, they're working more closely. That means officers now can't really do what they want to do. They're monitoring them because, we had a lapse in security measures in the country, and some of our nation protectors who gave an oath with the Constitution and the Constitution of the Royal Bahamas Police Force, the Constitution of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force. They violated those oaths, and they became more like, we could say, terrorists. But at the same time, I hope that the powers to be in this country see the effect it is having on us as citizens, because now I listened 2 weeks prior to the Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Honorable Fred Mitchell, and he stated, that things were going to be a little harder for Bahamians to get in the USA of America. And when he said that, he is talking about the whole Bahamas, he's talking about Bahamians on the whole. But many of us who are law-abiding Bahamians who go about our regular jobs, businesses we run, who have no type of association whatsoever, they abide by the laws. They don't even run the red light, much less the police has never pulled over some of these individuals no time in their life. And they are being subjugated now to a little harsh punishment. It might not be nothing big, like we can't go to the U.S., we can't travel with our police record no more. We can still travel to the U.S., we still could use our police record, but yes, still, they're looking at us a little funny now. But the only reason we're getting safe is because, like, again, they need us to protect their borders, and we are their number one partner in the Western Hemisphere. So I'd just like to say, we have to be more encouraged. Our powers to be have to make sure that the message is clear, that this conviction of this senior cop, this conviction of Royal Bahamas Defense Force officer who was also convicted, they're looking to give him 5 years, and the New York District Attorney's Office in New York is looking to give him 5 years based upon his health. So they're considering that. So I hope that the Royal Bahamas Police Force, I hope that the Royal Bahamas Defense Force is using this example to teach the younger Defense Force officers, the younger police officers, that some of our officers broke the law, went about doing things for their benefit, and now look what's happening to them. We have to remind you guys that if you break the law, that we ourselves will come at you and we prosecute you at the full extent of the law. But still, that's not good for us, because it is called slackness, where you get so used to something that everyone wants to do it on the force, and then you turn a blind eye to it. And then it becomes pure corruption and everyone wants to do it. And I think that's the stance where our officers on the Royal Bahamas Police Force, where they see so many senior officers before got themselves involved in these activities, it passed on to them, they learn it, and it just got too slack. Now everyone wants to do it. And look what it has cost. It cost us as Bahamians to feel the pinch, So when we talk about crime, we just can't talk about it on the street level. We have to talk about this type of level, on the millions of dollars level, the greatest impact that these individuals have been causing the Bahamian people over the course of the years. This is the greatest impact. We're not one of the little guys on the streets that are another half by. And that's what I say, that's what I say, do unto others as you would have others do unto you. And that's why I come on the show, show you that we all be humans. And when you hold power, don't take advantage, all right? Use your power, to the extent, and use your judgment, but don't abuse your power, because one day you could be on top and one day you could be on the bottom. And I'm going to give you a prime example after you play this next clip. And then I'm going to start the show. Give a shout out to Charms One Frankie, my boy Charms One, Scrawns Corner, Fritz Lane, excuse me, Charms One, the cheapest car parts. You could go to Charms One, either import, export, any car parts you want. Charms One, Fritz Lane. Big up Frankie. Go ahead, Chris.
Acting Assistant Chief Magistrate Shaka Seville delivered the verdict, finding Miller guilty of 10 counts related to a significant drug seizure in Acklands back in June 2022. ASP Sonny Miller, who also served as Police Staff Association chairman, was out on bail pending trial, showed disappointment as he shook his head when the verdict was read. He faces serious charges, including possession of marijuana and cocaine with the intent to supply, as well as conspiracy to import drugs. He'll return to court for sentencing on February 24th. At the time of his arrest, Miller was in charge of police operations in Acklands, Crooked Island and Long Key. Testimony from two Colombian pilots, Christian Artizizabal and Christian Aragon, revealed that Miller helped them offload drugs into a Jeep. Things took a turn when a U.S. Coast Guard helicopter arrived on the scene. In a twist, Miller pulled a gun on the pilots and arrested them. Footage from the helicopter supported their story, showing all three men moving bundles from the plane to the police vehicle just before law enforcement arrived. The two Colombian pilots pleaded guilty last year and were sentenced to 60 months in prison as part of a plea deal. This conviction now adding to concerns about corruption within the local law enforcement agencies as we await sentencing.
I don't take pride in seeing the downfall of any individuals, because they are family as well, to be really respectful, I'm not that type of person, I understand we have all sinned, we're not perfect. And people have family, they have loved ones as well, so I'm not doing this to bring down nobody. It has happened, but it's something that needed to happen. Sorry to happen to this individual, because I don't know, he has probably a wife, a daughter, family, etc., and my sympathy goes out to them. And, when it comes to them, because he could be the breadwinner for the whole entire family, even though what he might have been doing might have been, etc., but I'll explain a little further, so I'm not that type of person, I feel it for them, that's their family. But think about this. How many families and young men that he locked up, who he made cry as well? That's why I say, do unto others as your father's doing to you. When you're powerful, be merciful. I'm encouraging people in the nursing industry. I'm encouraging bosses. I'm encouraging people who have power over people, If the person has the right attitude, is not disrespectful, whether it's an employee or a friend, if they're moderate, they're sincere, please don't take advantage of them, Don't, if they mean good to you and helping you out, working for you, one time they may come a little ask you for a little something, and then you might, you working and you getting paid, you working, you do, and then the person really could have needed, and, that could make things really, really bad for you, I mean, it's your stuff, you don't have to give it, but I'm saying, and then some people use their position to take advantage of people, and that's something I was never a part of. I always had a heart to treat people equal, and based upon their character. I judge them by their character, and if their character fitting to be a person of good standing, I respect them for who they are. But I've never taken advantage of nobody if I have the power. You understand? And in our country, we do it, we take advantage of one another, whether it's a man loving a woman or a woman loving a man, we take advantage of people. And what goes around comes around. That same person who you're taking advantage of, that could be the person who really, really cared about you, who loved you, who would do anything for you, and you just broke their heart, And sometimes we destroy people, when we take advantage of people. So that's why the Bible tells you when you're powerful, be merciful. You don't have to throw things in people's face or etc. But anyway, my point is this. Let me just read. So I was reading, and like I said, he has a family and stuff like that. But it had to happen because I feel that it was going on for a very, very long time. And it's not just him, because when I read the newspaper, they were saying he is without an officer. Two of them were offloading, so we need to find out who this next officer is, because it could be a gang of them, And that's not to bring down nobody, they're police officers, and if they're doing illegal activity, then they should be investigated and brought before the courts. So we need to find out what's really, really going on, because this is big. This is nothing small. And these guys were running the airport, So let me just see if I can dissect this and show you that any in the position of power, be merciful. So let me just read this a little bit. Okay. Miller, 47, a former assistant superintendent of police, was found guilty of drug-related charges before Deputy Chief Magistrate Shaka Chaville. He said the matter was not a usual case, and that it was one he would not soon forget. The trial spanned more than 2 months. His family members were visibly distraught and an uproar on the court's host step as Miller was taken to the Bahamas Department of Correctional Services. He was allowed a brief moment with relatives prior to his incarceration. Let me go to page 5. Miller, let me see, page 5. Is page 5? Yes, it's page 5. Yes. Miller returns to court for sentencing on February 24th. Officers from the Royal Bahamas Police Force, working alongside the United States Coast Guard, seized 181 pounds of cocaine and 31 pounds of marijuana on June 7, 2022. Assistant Commissioner of Police Roberto Goodman, enough respect to Mr. Goodman. He is basically an FBI. Most drug enforcement unit officers are basically handpicked to serve the U.S. government as well as partners, because that's the kind of connection Mr. Herschel Walker, the ambassador of the United States to the Bahamas, was saying. Goodman has been around a very long time. I knew him, when he was in the EU, and he used to come check me once or twice when I used to be doing my thing in the community, in the inner city community. And, he was always a legit upfront officer. An investigator in the matter, and Sergeant Leslie Wilson, one of Miller's arresting officers, previously identified the drugs at the police warehouse. They confirmed that 15 packages contained marijuana, while the remaining 72 contained cocaine based on texting. Both officers identified their signatures on the package. But anyway, blah, blah, blah. We need all that. But anyway, that's what I just want to say. When you're powerful, be merciful. And I want you all to listen to this closely, what I'm going to read. Now, when you're an officer, and sometimes, you have a lot of people coming to the police station, whether they're innocent or not. Sometimes they get mistreated, right? Sometimes they don't get fed. Sometimes they don't get to make a phone call. And, we be on this radio saying these things and blah, blah, it don't happen. But he has the spin on it to show you he's be talking the truth. And now it's happened to him. And listen to his response. Now he's complaining about police treatment. Now listen closely. This is a former police officer, right? Again, I'm not attacking his character. I'm just saying that when you're powerful, be merciful. How many other people, children, he did that too, locked up and never give a phone call to? I've never probably been in contact with him personally, but I've heard talks around the streets about his character since he's in the newspaper. And many said that he would, be terrorized in the streets and really wouldn't give no one no break. Now, when the wheel is spin, and what you do in the dark comes out in the light, listen. So now he is talking against his former colleagues. So listen, people, listen, just listen. That's why I say, when you're powerful, be merciful. Take this from me. So yeah, I said, no, let me start this. Let me get to the juicy part now. So the helicopter, Miller was along, two Colombians were offloading the drugs. Then the helicopter came with the U.S. and probably Goodman. He saw the helicopter, and then he come up with this plan now. He's saying that he was arresting these guys because now, you couldn't get away because the U.S. Drug Enforcement Unit, you can't get away from the helicopter. So he put his gun on the two Venezuelans to make it look like, he was arresting them. And they said they was afraid because, they were partners. And all of a sudden, the drug enforcement pull up. So Miller come up with this plan. So he said, yeah. He said, yeah, but I got to make it look good. So he must pull the gun on these guys and say, I can lock you up. Don't tell these guys you know me. Blah, 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 or I'd kill you. Keep your mouth quiet, and I could do my best to get you, blah, blah, blah. I'm only saying these kind of stuff. And the case is appealing. So he's looking to appeal his case. He has 7 days to appeal his case. But anyway, just giving a little mouthful. So now, blah, blah, blah. He took some pictures. Miller took some pictures of the seizure of the drugs. But his former officers, like Goodman and stuff like that, they arrested him. And they brought him and charged him. And they showed him the footage. And in the footage, they show where Miller was offloading the package a few times before the helicopter even pulled up. So his alibi did not up, and Magistrate Chevelle looking to sentence him sometime in February. So, listen now, let me get to the juicy part. So, he testified that after landing in Auckland with a plane containing 400 pounds of cocaine and 25 kilos of marijuana, he handed over drugs to Miller, another officer who arrived in the marked police jeep. They need to find who that officer is because this is a gang thing, so it's more than one officer. So it seems to be a clique of officers. So they say a lot of gangs. What they call it now? They have this anti-gang law now, what they get charged with. I wonder what they're going to do now with officers who are involved with illegal activity. What we're going to call that legislation. We need to find one to put there. Okay, because this is a gang thing, and this is a big drug operation that was running, both on the Defense Force and the Royal Bahamas Police Force. All right? So this is some serious stuff. So anyway, let me finish reading. So he says, when the Coast Guard helicopter approached, Miller alleged threw the drugs on the ground, cursed at our gun, and waved the gun. Our gun is one of the Venezuelan guys. Assisted by a Spanish translator, our gun told the court he feared for his life during the incident and later cooperated with authorities. That means he told authorities everything. During cross-examination, he admitted it was his first time transporting drugs and that he had not been fully paid. Miller, who was the officer in charge of Auckland at that time, denied the allegation and claimed he encountered his co-accused unloading drugs from the nose of a plane. He testified that he approached the plane tactically after exiting a marked police vehicle and said one of them who spoke English asked where he could get a room. But anyway, Miller said he requested backup and drew his firearm to assist with the arrest. After hearing a helicopter approaching, he claimed he was excited about the seizure, took photographs of the arrest, and was congratulated by ACP Goodman prior to his own arrest. Miller testified that days later his house was searched and he was arrested. He said during his search, he cursed at two white American drug officers who told him his arresting officer that Miller was going to lie to them, adding that he did not recognize them as local officers. He further claimed that during a 6-hour interrogation in New Providence on June 10, 2022, he was denied food and access to his medicine. Jesus Lord, how many people have you done it to? How many Bahamian people you have done it to have denied these same things are in the station? Boy, they say what goes around comes around. And I'm not being disrespectful. I'm just saying that overall, what goes around comes around. The way you treat people, when you think you're big and you're powerful, and you think you can't be touched, and the small things you do to people, it's come right back around to you from your own same people. They say you'll be on top one day, and you'll be at the bottom one day. This goes for anybody. That's why I changed my life. This is one of the reasons I changed my life, because I understand these things. I understand there's a God. And I understand that, it's like this. What they say now? They say, anyway, let me finish reading this. All right, so now listen to this now. All right, wait, okay. Well, he said he was denied food and access to his medication and later required medical attention. In closing his defense, Miller said he would not wish the experience on anyone. Listen to this now. Hold on now. Let me get this right now. Let me get this right. In his closing defense, Miller, who will be an officer for over 20-something years or more, said he would not wish the experience on anyone. But there's a lot of people who you had in custody when you was an officer, and some might have been innocent. And did you say that to them when they, Y'all understand where I'm coming from, people? So you don't have to believe in God, okay? But the book says these things. You live by the sword, you die by the sword. That's what I was going to say a little earlier. You live by the sword, you die by the sword. If a guy out there lifting up a gun every day and he's shooting people innocently or whenever for a hit, what has happened to him? A couple of years later or a year later, he gets gunned down. Ain't that true? That's true. So now we got her family saying that he wished that didn't happen to nobody. So I guess now that he in a deal with hundreds of people, had them in custody, I don't know, might have treated some good, might have treated some bad. But now that you're feeling the incarceration, you're being locked up and couldn't get fed from your fellow officers. But how many Bahamian people, children, were in the station when you was the high and mighty? And the thing about it, what surprises me is this individual is supposed to be protecting and serving. You understand? At the same time, he was breaking the law as a law enforcement officer who running a whole airport. So what kind of personality do you think that is, that he has as an individual? Do I wish harm on him? No. Do I wish him to go to jail? No, I don't want. It's not me. You know, I don't wish for them. I don't wish for things to happen to people. But I know things would happen to individuals if they keep up what they're doing in life, regardless of whatever it is. And that's why I have this show, because I talk reality. And I read through the lines and I have these conversations for those who are listening, can understand where I'm coming from and take some advice and see if I make any sense. Because you could be in the same position as this gentleman here and many others. And maybe the show that we do on this Friday, since it is a reality show, and make you change your heart and make you think about making better decisions on how to treat people and how to make good decisions in life. And that's what the show all about. And also to inspire, you know, and to pinpoint out things like these stories and picture the line and see if I could bring it into reality and so that it can make sense. I'm not against Mr. Miller. I'm sorry for the position he is in, but he put himself in a position. He had a lot of individual sentence over the years. He probably have over 1,000 years of people in prison right now who serving time under him, who he have testified against and went to court with. Some could be guilty, some could be innocent. Right now, you can't question nothing in the country because we don't know what to believe right now. Because the people who are supposed to be protecting us and saying crime this and we have this 100 murders and this and that, when we listen, we seeing some of the biggest set of drug dealers or accused of selling drugs are our law enforcement agencies, part of our law enforcement agencies. So what do you expect for us as citizens to think? It's a sad day in our country, And like I said, I don't wish this on this gentleman, but it is what it is, So let me just finish with you. Okay. In closing this event, Miller said he would not wish the experience on anyone. Now, think about that. This is a man who did this to so many different people. Right? Now it's his time. Jesus Lord. He said experience. He said he held no malice and maintained that he was only performing his duties. You was performing your duties and some other duties. He said he didn't know. He said he did not. He said he did not know why Sergeant Wilson would lie about him. Now this is his friend, so he's saying his friend is lying about him now, right? During cross-examination, Miller denied smuggling drugs or attempting to cover up his action by closing vehicle doors or pulling a gun on his co-accused. Defense attorney Bojan Ferguson argued in his closing arguments that the prosecution was attempting to ride a parade of interference to a conviction, alleging that the case against his client had been fabricated. In delivering his verdict, Magistrate Chauvel said video evidence showed Miller's vehicle leaving and returning to the scene multiple times and showed that the police vehicle door and rear hatch were open. A silver tin was also visible inside the vehicle near the door. Magistrate Chauvel rejected Miller's account as implausible and accepted the evidence of the Colombian nationals and other officers. Miller was informed of his right to appeal within 7 days of sentencing. Terry Archer, Assistant Director of Public Prosecution, and Shanishka Carey are leading the prosecution. So we have some officers, testified against a fellow officer. And I think the only reason that happened is because this was in part because the U.S. was involved. I think that it was left up to him and investigators. We would never know nothing about this Miller guy, and it wasn't for the general public and releasing voice note about certain former officer Johnson and et cetera who are still before the courts and still being investigated. I don't think our officers in this country was ever going to investigate these officers. I think they would get away with it. I think the only reason we're seeing them before the courts now is because the FBI, was able to do their what you call stakeout. They have the technology. If they wasn't able to have the helicopter to get there on time, to be recording, catch the perpetrators moving the drugs in from the truck, back to the truck. If they didn't have the two Venezuelans, they're present to give evidence. I think that even with Goodman there at that particular time, even though he's a good cop, I don't know. Miller, how it's a fraternity. They're the biggest gang. You never know. They might have waked it out. I don't know, but it's because the FBI, they're the DA, they're, waking out. So this matter has to go before the court in a timely fashion and to make amends with the U.S. government. The Bahamas government has to work closely with the U.S. government to make sure that the full extent of the law applied to these officers who are accused of the drug trafficking in the Bahamas. And that's how serious it is in our country. So I believe if we leave it up to the Bahamian authorities, we never would have known. Because how long have these guys been doing this operation from the airports around the country that they were controlling? It ain't like there was just a rookie officer. These officers were in charge of airports, okay? Airports. So who was watching them? Who was monitoring them? We talk about the police and blah, blah, this, and they doing good with crime. But when it comes to investigating major crime, we're talking local crime. These are major crimes, you know. These are major crimes. These are no local crimes. These are major crimes because these are international crimes, and they got done from people who we don't suspect of being involved. We thinking guys on the streets, you know, running $1 million drug ring. No, you know. Guys on the streets running a drug ring, 50,000, 100,000, and if they get lucky, they might get lucky to get $1 million, and that's rare. But this was going on a long, long time in the country. You know, it's crazy. So, like I said, I don't wish it on nobody. You know, I'm a Bahamian, you know, but this is our country, and we have to put check and balances in our agency in the country. We heard Herschel Walker, ambassador of the Bahamas. He spoke highly about the Bahamas and our partnership. So, for us need to regain the Bahamian people trust. It's going to be very hard, people, because every day we look in the news, we're seeing some type of officer getting charged with some type of incident. We just look on Facebook the other day. Sorry to say to our Commissioner of Police, Ms. Shanta Knowles, I believe that officers on the Royal Bahamas Police Force are not listening to you at all. They are not afraid of you, okay? Because they know they have a fraternity and they feel they're protected. Because there's no way possible with all of this media and attention being put on our two agencies when it comes to high-ranking police officers and defense force officers, that these young officers or officers on the force would try their best as possible to stay away from corruption. It's like they're not taking these incidents serious. It's that, yeah, that happened. I guess that happened to Miller and them guys. It's not going to happen to us, so they're going to continue because they have a fraternity and they're protected. Ms. Knowles, they're not taking you serious because too many officers already are being charged with serious offenses after that, discipline. You know, just completely out of control. And they're not listening to you. Because if they were listening to you, Ms. Knowles, then why so many other officers doing things that is illegal in the country? We saw on Facebook where we see this police officers and they get this ring going on, and tourists who come to visit the Bahamas, he had a camera recorded properly in his helmet. You know, you really can't see it. Officers are questioning him, blah, 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 do a little something, you know, put it in there, don't make it obvious, you know, and that's a junior officer. Where he learned that from? You see, that's inherited. You know, and he said, you know, my boss right there. You know? So you got to make it look good. You got to be away from the boss and just don't get the boss involved. You know? Where he learned it from? He learned the tax. He learned the tax from officers before. So we have a lot of cleanup to do, you know? We have a lot to clean up to do. To the officers who are corrupt in the force, they're not listening to them, Shanta Knowles. They're not listening at all, and it's evident. You know, as much good officers we have on the Royal Bahamas Police Force, and I guess whereas political interference with the PLP and AFNM when they appoint their officers every time they come in office, there are a lot of good officers who are left out, who are qualified for the job, and probably would be the right commissioner, be the right assistant commissioner of police, be the right ASP, but they never get a chance in hell to ever hold those positions because they're not acquainted with the PLP and FNM. You know, so they'll never get the opportunity to lead in these specific department because they're not a part of this party. And in doing so, we're denying so many great officers opportunity to really take this Bahamas the way they really want to do things in the country. They have a great understanding, they're compassionate, but they will never get that promotion because they're not a part of this political party. And I think that's a sad thing in our country. So all the good officers out there who have been to school has been denied promotion. I'm very sorry for you guys. I talk to a lot of officers. I have a lot of family members who are officers on the force as well. Okay, I have a lot of friends who I know as police officers. Some are very, very decent officers, and I talk to them on a regular basis. And I hear they cry. You know, they can't call in the show because they are police officers. They are under the commissioner, so they can't talk. One or two called, but they didn't mention their name, and they were officers. When they had a show us a few years back, they would call in, and they said they can't because, you know, they're under contract with the government and the Royal Bahamas Police Force. You understand? So all this is to show you, when you're powerful, be merciful. That goes across the board, you know. And how our leaders address these issues. And what surprises me most about our authorities, they would have never addressed these situations of things that is most important. I guess they just want us to die off and then they think everything is cool. But if we keep on doing, if we continue to do that, there are going to be other officers like Johnson, like Curtis, and like, you know, those other officers, you know. And they continue, and then we'd have this problem the next 10 years, 15 years, it's going to even be worse. You know, so we have to set an example, put protective measures in place. I think last we could get an internal body that we have Pacific police officers who are trained to go after corrupt officers. Same thing, internal affairs and the defense force. Same thing in immigration. Same thing in the prison. Same thing with the prison guards. Internal body. Internal body of individuals on these boards, and they know what they're looking at. They're looking at reports of complaints made against officers, and we also got to make sure that the complaints made against officers are investigated properly, because we have a lot of individuals as well who like certain officers, and they will lie on certain officers. Okay, so we got to make sure put perimeters in check also to protect the officers. You know, to make sure that we do proper investigation, how we go about it. You know, because it's two sides to the story, but nonetheless, you know, what we have been experiencing in the country in this last few years is crazy, you know, and it's nothing lightly to take, because there are a lot of constitutional rights that are being violated by our law enforcement in the country, and we can't function without our law enforcement in this country, you know, because they do a good job of protecting the country. You know, we're never ever going to get crime down to zero, because there are still people who are going to commit serious offenses. But we can reduce it dramatically in the country. We could reduce it dramatically in the country. We can do it. There's still people who are going to make bad choices, bad decisions. But if we invest in our country, we change the way our citizens think in the country, we start to change their mindset, we would see a better attitude, and we see a change in their personality and in the mindset, and then we can start to get things under control, you know? If you look at where we're headed now, we're just finding about 4 babies. 1 abandoned in the bush. I think 2 abandoned in the bush. Hold on. 1 abandoned in the bush, and a gentleman found that one. Then we found the next baby in the car, the back trunk, okay? And I think they already found the parents. Then there's something on social media, I don't know how true it is, but there were 2 babies inside a car park somewhere by a mall, and looked like the family was living in the car. But anyway, the first one abandoned the baby. The second one in the car, the family, looked like they were living in the car. So I guess these abandonment of babies is the fact that people just ain't had nothing to eat. You know, and when that baby crying, and then The mother ain't getting nothing to give the child, and the child crying. You know, that crying alone is a serious thing. When baby lions cry, you see how the mother react. We see when our babies cry, you see how we react. We react quickly. We want to see if the baby hurt. We want to see if they're hungry. We want to see if they're in pain. You know, we get frantic. You know, any mother of any animal get frantically. You know, so those individuals, you know, you know, they just probably don't have no job. They don't have no place to stay. They're doing really bad, and you know they have the baby in the box trunk. They live in the car, and probably when people call the authorities and they saw them, they scrambled and got afraid because they are so embarrassed that they don't want no one to see them living in the car. You know, that's why when I listen to the Minister of Social Service, he said, "Don't be so quick to judge." And I repeat myself on the show sometimes from last week or week before last because I have one show, right? But my one show, I want to hit these points, and those who are listening, that these are the points that I'm trying to bring to reality to see what the problem is, and so that I keep on repeating it so that you could get an understanding where I'm coming from when I come on the airwaves. I'm concerned about our country. You understand? And where it's going now, we're in big trouble. When you see babies are being abandoned, okay, it shows the decline in our country. It shows you that people are hurting. There are signs, okay? There are signs, and if you don't take these signs serious, we are all fools. It might not be affecting you now, but you can imagine those same kids right there. Without the help of us as citizens, those same children right there, if they have to grow up struggling, they're going to be the next set of criminals in this country, okay? If the children that are born in today, live in these inner city communities and around this country, if we are not able to assist them, they're growing up in these communities that has nothing to offer them, what you think is going to happen? You think our crime level is going to go down? No, it's going to continue steady this pace. You know, we in this country, trust me, people, we in this country, we in some serious trouble. You know, we have 7,000 families on food assistance, and this is a feeding group after the WAD cut, right? 7,000. And that's just 7,000 people that goes to social service to get food assistance. How many thousands out there? Or there's 7,000 here. How many kids do you think are going to be involved in illegal activities? If there's 7,000 families, see, this is how I look at life. When I see 7,000, I look at how many kids are going to be neglected in the 7,000 families. Because if they're getting food assistance from the government, that's 7,000 families. We don't know how big the families are. Some food assistance could go from $50 to $150 to $200, okay? And that just once every month. So there are a lot of people suffering around this country, and we're going to have a lot of kids in this country who are going to grow up without proper guidance, without proper education, without proper medical health, and without a proper community to train them in the right way, how to be a lady, how to be a young man. What do you expect from a young man, or what do you expect from a young lady? What kind of decisions you're going to make that is going to be beneficial to your life? Are you planning to own your business, to work for a few years and build your house, save some money, and continue to grow? Or are you going to allow these kids to grow up in these inner city communities and become responsible parents at a young age because their mothers and fathers, out to work, and they're left home unattended to watch their brothers and sisters. And at the same time, they're like 12, they're like 10, 9, 11. So they get mature at an early age because they're taking care of their kid brother or kid sister. And when they don't have these same little girls or little boys, they go out there and they try to make a hustle. And we have young girls out there that go big gray-ass man out there who have no respect for themselves or the young girl, and would go sleep with that young girl and impregnate that young girl or take advantage of the young girl and ruin that young girl. And then when she have a child, what you think is going to happen? Think people, 7,000 on food assistance and it'll be very much more. So let me see if I can read it just a little bit. Okay. All right. And also, the Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas established a feeding program, and he stated that he fed over 1 million kids. You don't think we got to come to some point in our life where we don't have to be doing these things? Okay. Let's see what's saying now. So let me knock some other stories. 7,000 families. Wow. Let me just read some real quick. More than 2,000 families have been added to Hands for Hunger assistance register over the past year, bringing the total to roughly 2,000. Hands for Hunger Executive Director Ms. Keisha Ellis said about 5,000 people were registered with Hands for Hunger Pantry in 2024-2025. She said that this number has since grown to roughly 2,000 families, according to Ms. Ellis, who said the organization has been able to identify a single cause for the increase. The report figure comes as the government announced the removal of VAT from unprepared grocery items as part of efforts to lower food costs, a decision welcomed by, let me see if I get on page 7. Okay, page 7. Yeah, page 7 is yes. Feeding organization and businesses leaders yesterday as well as insignificant on its own to address food insecurity or ease the broader cost of living pressures facing Bahamian household. While groups say the policy change saluted from April 1st offers meaning for relief, they argue the scale of need now extends far beyond what tax relief alone can address. So, we have a long way to go in the country. As we go into the general election, there's so much to do in this country. So much to do. So much to do. We had here Andres Fish Fry related blaze. Andres Fish Fry blaze. As no fire truck came. We want to address that as well. You live in Andres. There was a fire at Fish Fry. And the people them try to get the seawater. And, no fire truck came. Andres is our largest family. I didn't call a company right now. And why don't we have a fire truck in Andres? I just don't understand. We are backwards in this country. Every family island that has a population should have a fire truck, should have an ambulance, etc. Caller, you're on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Go ahead.
Good night, Scrooge.
Good night to you, sir.
Everything good?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, you see, I got that show live. You can do what you can big, man.
Huh?
If it wasn't for Scrooge, 24 one will never reach the 2,000 call 24 too. And you don't understand nothing. He's so rude. They call him, he's hang up on you. Why you do that? He's all about Constitution. Something wrong. If we have freedom of speech, right?
Yes, sir.
And something called, the hindrance of speech and all that, we guarantee that in the Constitution, right?
Yes, sir.
And this man claimed to be a constitutional. I mean, I call it over there.
Yeah.
But I only got to say it because he wouldn't allow me to say it when they call him. I ain't going to call her.
Yeah, that's Mr.
But I ain't
Thompson.
constitutional, man.
Yeah, that's Mr. Thompson, yes. But anyway,
Yeah,
what you want to talk?
It's rude. It's very rude. And then, you have to think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, this man is sitting up inside me, apart from the thing on my eye mark and thing, and falling asleep and things for hours,
Yeah, I know, man.
And he's like, he forget where he come from.
Yeah, I know, but I'm gonna get it. I understand your thing on
Yeah.
but
Hey,
I'm gonna get it. But you talk what you have to talk about.
Look like we trying to basically bring a nation of beggars up because I mean, like these children, would they you say you feel a minute? You looking to get voted back in again? Why you got to say that? If that comes from, I mean, and I didn't need money on that. Why you shouldn't even say that?
Yeah, so it's because that's
that's like the truth.
Yes.
But when you look here, when these children, I mean, like, and the parents, they're mostly female parents. You know that, right?
Yes, I know. It's hard, man. It's hard. It's hard. It's hard in the country, man. It's hard.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. But then you got to prioritize and things too,
Yeah.
Because I mean, like, it's really hard. But then when you're looking around, everyone got these artificial hair on. They cost $150 to $200. Some of them here they got put on their head and they have them on change their head.
Yeah, I know.
2 or 3, 4 times.
See, they ain't thinking straight because they're not being programmed. You use the money where priorities lie. But
they're prioritizing wrong.
Yeah, we prioritizing wrong because
society to take care of because they have their kids and they ain't into their kids.
Yes.
They even into the baby daddy.
Yes.
They ain't into none of that.
Yes.
It's like a family. They even ain't into that.
Yes.
They into just looking from head to foot, up and down.
Every day living. They're just living for one day. Yes. They're not planning for the future.
Make no sense. And then guess what? The government, the government could do. They could go do the feminine hygiene product. Why? Because they're looking at just getting vote back in. But it's not good for society when these women ain't prioritizing at all. But I tell you no lies, Scrooge. You want me to tell you something?
Yes, sir.
When we become a people or when these women, there you God, these are the people here, or don't care how one pin on, they don't care what put on. Once it's on, they feel good. Something wrong,
Yes, a lot going on.
Something wrong. And like you can't go out. What's wrong with people being for who they is? They like they fake.
Yeah.
That's probably what it is, man.
Yeah.
But it's sad. And I mean, like, I guess it can't be no better until, I guess we need responsible government and all that to be in place and things to probably pass legislation to ban these over fake and things. Fake news, fake BS. Honestly,
Yeah, and a lot of them is getting a lot of people sick too. I want the ladies to
also listen. And guess what they mean to you? Demand you, but just to say you want luck.
Yeah, I would just like to say also for your health benefit as well. Look at the hair products that you're putting in your hair because a lot of the hair products has a lot of chemicals and you're putting in your body.
That they ain't no good for them.
Yeah, and guess what? Always remember this: the skin is the biggest cell on a human body.
The big spongy.
That's the biggest cell. So anything that you put on here, like tattoo, I want people to do the research on tattoo as well.
And right in the bloodstream.
Go straight in the bloodstream. This is how you ought to get a lot of
sickness
now.
With them organs and things.
Yes, you need to go check on these stuff before y'all do these things. So it's more about education. So just come with the health doctor and stuff to be.
Yeah, but that ain't important though.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to look. They want to look on their phone and see somebody else. Because you know what? They ain't want. It's amazing they don't want to be themselves, but they feel so good about themselves but being someone else.
Call a couple right now. Someone says call. I'll allow you to come on, please. Just give me a few more minutes. Go ahead, caller.
Yeah, I mean, how you figure that though?
Yeah.
Like I said, we need responsible government, man. I mean, responsible government.
People looking for leadership. People looking for leadership. The country's looking for leadership.
Would see these things, right?
In the health department.
Legislation against these things, man.
Yes. And telling people why you should not use these products, for instance.
Man, and then guess what? You got to lead by example, too.
You want to see the U.S. now is saying that how the World Health Organization said canned food is one of the leading causes for a lot of chronic diseases. Is our Bahamas government telling our Bahamian citizen that? This is supposed to be a part of the health department that let us know these information that come down from the World Health Organization and pass on the country to a partnership with the World Health Organization and come up with a strategy.
Yeah, but is health important in this country? Health isn't important.
No, I don't think so.
Health isn't important.
No.
Because if health is important, I mean, even look at when they talk about the medical health facilities we have around, right? And they're talking about health care. It's paradoxical because care and health in this country, then they don't care when you go to the hospital, and they can talk about health care.
No.
You know, I mean, hey, it's really a challenge for people. I mean, to go to the hospital.
Yeah.
I mean, if something happens to you because I mean, it doesn't make you mad. I go. I
Yeah.
go fight this one up myself.
Yes.
Because if I go there, I don't know. I know how where they can do it. They can put you in the corner, block too.
Yes, sir. But
Put you
anyway.
in the corner. Don't open your mouth.
Yes, sir.
Because you open your mouth, that's the last time they talk, I guess.
Yes, sir.
But Scrooge, go on, man. Let that caller come in.
Yeah, thanks for calling in, man. You always give a good contribution, man. Thank you for calling in, man. Thanks very much. Caller, you're on Inside the Inner City on Guardian Radio. Caller, you there?
Hello.
Good night to you. Just turn on your radio just a little bit.
Night.
Good night to you. Go ahead, ma'am.
Happy New Year from Sparky.
Happy New Year. What is up, Sparky? Good night, Sparky.
Hello.
What? Sparky, they ain't taking your calls, ain't nothing they can do. They ain't allowing to take your calls. So they have something on you. They ban you. I mean, Happy New Year to you, Sparky, but they're not allowing you to speak on it. It's not me. That's I guess that's the whole team. Sorry for that. You know, and good night to you, lady, and Happy New Year to you as well. Yeah. You know, so we're having a discussion, you know, and it's the truth, you know. Ladies, I also want y'all to pay attention to what you're putting in your body as well, you know. Go online and look what Tarte and look what the hair products, you know. Look at what even lotions do to you and stuff, and get some natural lotion like aloes and stuff like that. We have a lot of natural remedies here in the country, you know. I mean, we're all gonna die one day, but you know, we could die of old age. You know, old age is the best way to go with natural causes. Yeah, you know, that's the way I want to go. You know, I don't want to die with chronically ill diseases. You know, I mean, if that's the way, that's the way. But if anything I could do to stop me from getting chronically ill diseases by getting the proper education and know what I'm supposed to put in my body from not what I should not put in my body and what I should put in my body, and I be strict with it and I try my best to live up to whatever it is that I'm supposed to put in my body. I know it's going to be tough, but you gotta make some adjustments in your life when it comes to your health. So ladies, please be careful what you're putting in your body, you know, when it comes to your hair, lipstick, even lipstick, you know. Look at the supplements they put inside, the ingredients they put in these toothpaste and lipstick and stuff like that, you know. You know, follow up on these things, ladies. Even your pad that you wear, watch what they put in it all, you know, because, you know, everything is expensive, so people get the cheapest stuff, you know, to use, and sometimes the cheapest stuff is contaminated, you know, but you will not know, you know. So, ladies, be careful, you know. We're going to take this next call. Go ahead, caller. You're on Inside the Inner City on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM.
Yes, it's a pleasant good night. First time caller, but listen to you quite often from the beginning.
Yes, sir. Good night to you as well.
And it's a pleasure to get an understanding from someone like yourself who had street lives and consideration after that, and informative information to put yourself together to help the streets, those above the streets, and to understand where we should have been or where we should be in this life, in this country.
Yes, sir.
And I really appreciate you. I respect you, a young man like you, because I've been here before your time.
Yes, sir.
I live on the street. In fact, I grew up on the middle of the road and live on the side of it.
Wow.
I was never no bad boy, but I
Yes,
saw
sir.
a lot of bad things go down because of many bad officers.
Wow.
And I talk about that. I talk about from Keith Knox them time.
You're talking way about the Barbados boys. Yes.
You know, and I appreciate you, man.
Yes, sir.
You know,
Yes, sir.
and if we could just come together and help ourselves, because one time ago we were a great nation
Yes, sir.
when we had the sugar mill and the Hatchet Bay Foundation and the Sawyer's Pigeon Peas and all the farmers in these family islands from Inagua in the south to Abaco in the north and Grand Bahama.
Yes, sir.
You know, and 50 years ago, when we had our own Borden's milk and
I remember the Borden's milk. Yes, sir.
You know, the whole works, and from the PLB government came into power, they just destroyed this country and its people. You know, because Sir Lyndon did well, you know.
Yes, sir.
But he did a lot of bad at the end.
Yes,
he stayed there too long, in my opinion.
Yes, sir.
And it corrupt everyone what came after him,
Yes,
who was under his umbrella.
He said it, you know. He said it. Sir Lyndon said it under his own mouth. He said
That's
it.
right.
He said it. He said
You know, and we have to see a time now where we got to turn this country back to where it used to be. And it can't happen underneath. We've been there from Sir Lyndon time. And we expect for him to be a Moses or a Joshua. But he wasted it. I mean, I just couldn't understand it.
No.
You know? So we're looking for a new regime now, a new development, or else we're going to go to nothing.
Yes, yes, sir.
You understand me?
Yes, sir.
And we shouldn't have all these, you know, the murders what was going on from the 80s to now. We should never been to that level. Not this is one of the richest countries in the whole world. Only the poor people don't know.
You're right, sir.
We Bahamians would live here. Bahamians now don't even own a piece of the rock, not own a piece of land. Can't afford a piece of land. I almost 70
Yes, sir.
and can't own a piece of land in this country and work hard all my life.
It's rough. It's
Okay?
rough.
And if I'm not able to have it, how my children can have it?
It's going to be rougher for them. And some are going to make bad choices.
Man, I'm happy to hear you. And accountability, you know.
Yes, sir.
Accountability on this money and the incomes of this country. You know, only a handful of people could have something. It's impossible. You need to get rid of these parasites and termites, man.
Yes, sir.
Anyhow, only God can help us, but with your help and your understanding to this country and its people, and a few like whatever the Lord allow
Yes,
to
sir.
lash out, so they can understand that we need a change.
Yes, sir.
Get away from these termites and parasites and give someone else a chance to turn this country around.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, and I'll call you again, man.
Yes,
I
sir.
listen to you attentively.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you as well. It's remarkable, you know. It makes me feel good that when you know what you're doing it. This is my life. This is my passion. I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this because I could see if this is not done, our country is going to become a sixth world, and this is not going to be a place you want your children to be walking on the road when their lives can be taken at any time. You know, whether it comes from guys on the streets who are Bahamians, whether it comes from the police officers who apprehend them, they end up in a station, and then they end up, how would you say, pass away. And then the response of our leaders, you know, when it comes to how they respond, like the lady lost her son, and when I heard the commissioner, Ms. Shanta Knowles, and when she talked about the response, the jungle were red, you know, I think that she's a great commissioner, but I think her hands is full. And like I said, I don't think our officers are listening to her. I think it's become so unprofessional and it's been going on so long that they don't respect authority, you know. So drastic measures has to be put in place. And I think the first thing the force needs to do is find qualified officers whose job is to deal with officers who are rogue after doing proper investigation in all departments of our government, and to make sure they're treated fairly, you know. So, you know, boy, like the caller state, you know, this is my passion, because there's so many people hurting out there. When I see the newspaper talking about babies found in the bush, I know the reason. The reason is because these people don't have none. And the reason, you think people really want to abandon a child? No, it's the pure pressure. That child, I tell you, they're crying. They're crying. They can't take it. You ain't get nobody. You have this child, and this child is crying, and you ain't get nobody you could turn to. I mean, it's your fault, right? I mean, it's your fault to put yourself in a position, but we're supposed to be a country of wealth. So our neighbor's supposed to pick up the slack because we have wealth. But some people don't have no one to turn to, And when you're seeing babies being abandoned in the country, it's a sign. The Bible tells you about a child. And the nation, the child represents the nation. And when you see these things, it shows you the downfall of the Bahamas. Look at the U.S. Look at what's happening in the U.S. Civil unrest. We're going to take this next call. Go ahead, caller. You're on Inside in the City.
I can finish with a rhyme. In a mess. Civil unrest. Bless his Scrooge.
Yes, that's 52. Respect.
Life and death. You don't see all the way of fret. God ain't finished revealing yet, So there's a lot more things can be revealed, Scrooge.
Yeah.
But they plot and do these and the crooked deal and whatever they do, it's going to be revealed. That's just all they call it. I was listening, I was in and out. The last gentleman, they call the elderly gentleman,
yes.
We can understand his sentiments.
Yes,
so,
yes.
Really and truly, if all of those human stories you run off in a chronological order is really disheartening. But the caller who was mentioning about a nation of beggars, I kind of think that's where we're leading to. I stopped to a store the other day on Prince Charles.
Yes, sir.
By the time I reached in the store, I had two gentlemen already asking for $1 or whatever, $2 to do what they. But I realized one of the young men was really not stable. I don't know, he was alcohol disabled. However, he became, just sitting there drinking rum. So sometimes I be a little generous, but you can't be too generous.
Because you ain't got nothing. You ain't got nothing.
Surrounded by poor people.
You just run up a bunch of poor people, bro, and everyone asking you every day.
You see that, Scoozy, me and you from the inner, right? But listen to me. Remember now that the same people who was engineered this poverty, right?
Yeah.
The same people coming to rescue, just like the pandemic,
yeah.
make the disease, create the catastrophe, and then come to like the Almighty,
yeah.
whereby the sheep need someone to hold them by their hand and lead them. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So you start the fire, and you ready to put it out, you have the solution. Come to me. And this is what it is, man. It's pretty much simple, but as it relates to... But you would have heard me talk about the Sonny Miller case, right?
Yes, sir. You did?
And so you would have... you see one thing with you, but see, Scoozy, to all the good officers, right? We know who they are, but, I hate to say this, but in order to find out who the rogues are, only the street people could tell you that.
Yep.
But that's counterintuitive. Why should we say who the rogues are? We can't prorogue the rogue. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we always got corruption, right?
Yes, sir.
You see, they say it's Scoozy, but people like me and you have seen it all, right?
Yeah.
Some things I can't say already, like how you say, but things to do. But Scoozy, let's keep up the good works, man. I was hoping they could get, the envision, the things that you envision for the inner city to really happen, because I just told the guy the other day, I see the tourists
they're coming over.
Yes. Boldly without any fear of anything happening to them. It's only us what seems to have this problem.
Yes.
With the socials and lack of skills, even if it's emotional skills and being emotionally mature towards one another. There's a culture of disrespect. You see the young guys riding one way on the motorbikes all about now, right?
No respect for the road, man.
Yeah, man. When it was crossing, I didn't think that's a half-breed them, because, come on, man, listen to me. There's something going on, because I turned to go on Meadow Street the other day, and there's 3, 4, 5 fellas on motorbike heading into me, heading one way towards Super Valley. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes. That means they could do
I don't
shooting.
know, when the sidewalk, no one can talk. The killer stalks. Listen to me, my brother. The place is in a mess.
Yeah.
And I don't get why we keep trying to paint. The people who live in, they're still surrounded, because it's all one big criminal ecosystem, whereby mostly the inner city is manufacturing criminals, and the government is satisfied with that. Give thanks. Yeah, man.
Yes, sir. Yeah, 52. The elderly gentleman who called in, he talked about Knox them and God Johnson them and stuff, and he used to live on the street. So these things he saw with his own eyes, We had these problems going on a long time, and we being protective about it. We have a serious problem in our country, 7,000 on food assistance, etc. And it's much more, you know, we have babies being abandoned, you know, because their parents, you know, just don't have it. And like I said, when a baby cry, you don't want to take you don't want to take that baby crying. If you don't have nothing to offer that baby, it's like, you know, like, listen, let me just, you know what a mother do just for a child. Listen, I've seen it a few times, you know, and I've helped out females, you know, and they have asked me, you know, if I want someone in return, you know, but I will not allow myself to take advantage of somebody when I know that, you know, they really in need. And even though you could take advantage, I want to allow myself to, you know, and I've done that to so many females who are put in so much desperate situations. You know, some mothers and stuff like that, you know, when they have kids and, you know, they have nothing to cook, like on a Sunday, you know, and they have their daughters there, you know. Like sometimes they have daughters and sons there. And they're visiting because, you know, this is the only time the mother has a chance to really get to see her kids all in one. And sometimes they don't have food to cook, you know. So they have to go out there and be asking people on the streets, you know, and everyone poor in the community, so you might get lucky and hit somebody one or two, and then you're gonna buck somebody who have only one thing in mind, and you know they look at that woman, and even though she asking them, they're saying, you know, and she say, you know, she will offer herself, you know, not that she want to, you know, but she'd offer herself because that's the only way she could get something, you know, because the guys, you know, something for something, you know. And that's what our country has become, you know. As much as the major investments that we have coming in from the Deputy Prime Minister just to open the buildings and Prime Minister Philip Brave Davis investment, we just saw with the airport, we got a few million to an airport that is going to be developed under the Davis administration. In fact, many airports, they have a few clinics they're building as well. I see one down here across from the National Insurance Board, to help take the pressure off Princess Margaret Hospital. It's going to be a high-tech clinic. Then they have a new hospital they're building, they say, in the Fort Charlotte area. And, you know, it's like, you know, why take so long knowing that you have a growing population, you know? These was already things put in place a long time ago. So we basically just started from scratch in this country, you know. You know, all we care about is power, you know, power. And when you get power, you take advantage of the less fortunate. It makes no sense. You're destroying this country, you know. You know, I was watching the United States of America, and, you know, I like to analyze stuff, you know. And I wonder why Donald Trump was actually blowing those boats out the water coming from Venezuela. And he said they were trafficking drugs into the U.S. So I said, what was he trying to do? So I might not approve of it, but I understand he is trying to send a message, a preventative message, that if you are going to move drugs from the U.S., I mean, from any country and heading to the U.S., especially coming from Venezuela, he would blow you out the water, whether you're a fisherman or not. So what he is doing, he is putting a fear in the minds of the persons in Venezuela from crossing that border, whether you're a fisherman or not, that if you have any intentions of smuggling anything in the United States of America, he would blow you out the water. Now, listen, 90% of narcotics are being slowed down from entering the United States of America because of his actions. Now, he went against international law, which I totally agree. But at the same time, I said, why he did that? He did that to say to the cartels or anyone, if you dare. So now they know that he is not abiding by the law. His counterparts from Venezuela are talking about international law. Trump dropped out about 30-something UN partners. They're in different stages of partnership that the U.S. was signing on to financially. Also, if it needs any weapons, they would help. And they would also deploy their troops along with France and Germany. So the U.S. President Trump said, the hell with that. He's not no more going by international standard so that he cannot be persecuted even though the Senate is fighting against him. The Senate are fighting against him for breaking international law and slowing down some of his progress. I see they slow him down from going to Iran. He's stating that, Iran is getting ready to, I think, hang some couple thousand people. And he said because he was getting ready to attack Iran, but he was given some type of notice from Congress stating that, do not, because, what he did against Venezuela and against the Venezuelan people, was against international law. So inside his own government, he is having hurdles because, even though you're the president, you have the rights to do whatever you want. There's some things, he can, but there's some things could slow it down, and that's what they're doing. That's why he can attack Iran. And he said, when the reporter asked him, he said that he was not dropping bombs in Iran because they stopped hanging those individuals in Iran because of the protests. But it goes way deeper than that. It goes to the fact that people in his country and in the government is saying that it's wrong and that he should not have done it in the first place. And so they're fighting back, But other than that, I understand what he did when he blew up the boat, the Venezuelan boat. My condolences goes to the family and loved one lost in Venezuela, with bombing by the drones of the U.S. Navy and basically the FBI. But again, he stopped the flow of drugs entering the U.S. because he mean business. Now, I ain't saying it's the right thing to do, but I understand where you come from on that point. Now, with ICE, he was saying, Mr. Trump is saying that a lot of money was being taken out of America and shipped back to these countries, whether it could be Venezuela, it could be Turkey, it could be Russia, it could be China. These are the major countries in Iran that were in America, and they were using the American land as a way to start businesses, and then they're using the money and channeling out back to these countries, and they were creating wealth of the American dollar, and too much American dollar was leaving the U.S. and going to these particular countries. So he's slowing that down. So that's what ICE is all about. So it's crazy. He's saying that too much money is leaving the U.S. and going, building up other countries around the world, and he is not going to allow it. Even though he's breaking a lot of constitutional rights in the U.S., that's what he's doing. He feels that too much money is going out. Similar situation here, where we have a lot of money going out to Haiti, going out to Canada, going out to America and stuff like that. The U.S. dollar that's collected here, that is the revenue of the cruise ship, the overnight flights coming to the Bahamas. There's accumulation of American dollars that they bring. In the Bahamas could be in the millions, and the Americans want it back, And they accumulate it from the various different businesses downtown, and the central bank stores it, and then they ship it out the country, So President Trump is trying to make sure that American money stays in America and they're not empowering no terrorist group or no organization or no other family to come and destroy America. I don't know if it's going to work. I don't know if it's too late. But we have a chance in the country to get ourselves right. So I just analyze things. And for us in the country, we have to take a look at ourselves, we have babies being abandoned. We have mothers dying in Princess Margaret Hospital because, they didn't get the proper health care. We also need, on this aspect, we need foreign doctors, foreign nurses in the country as well. We need the Filipinos, we need the Cuban doctors here. We can complain all we want, but we don't have the manpower. And in some instances, these are nurses, doctors that come from these countries. They show the most hospitality. They treat us well. Our nurses are overworked, and probably, we could lead by example by bringing in some foreign healthcare workers. What is wrong with bringing in foreign healthcare workers in the country when they do a good job? They take care of our grandmother. These could take the pressure off our Bahamian nurses. So we do need them here, you know. Many people complaining, no, we need them here. We need them here. We need foreign doctors here. We need Cuban doctors here. We need any kind of doctors and nurses that can come to the Bahamas and help our loved ones who are suffering in the hospital. You know, we understaffed, so let's bring these people in. You know, let's bring them in and give them an opportunity to serve us as well we serve them. You know, we need that. There's so much we need to do in this country. You know, so much we need to do in this country. You know, the only thing I could do is come out here and speak on some of the things that I see happening in our country. But all I'm going to say is that, you know, as a country, we're going backwards. We need to find a way on how we can help empower people in this country. And one day, by empowering them, we could solve a lot of our problems that we face in this country today. Because at the current state, we can't do it alone. We can't just leave it up to government. We can't just leave crime up to the police. This is an impossible task. It takes every citizen to be a part of it, but if every citizen needs to be a part of it, there are a lot of us who needs to be empowered around the country and in different communities so that we can make this country a better place. I said we had babies being abandoned in this country. We have mothers who dying in the hospital because of neglect in this country. All right? Think about that. And to all the callers who call in tonight, you guys did a wonderful job. I appreciate each and every one of you. I hope that you enjoy the show. And just remember one thing. I am here to represent the Bahamian people. Talk about our problems. Hope that the powers to be here, the cries, and make some amendment. Okay? I'm not against the police. I'm not against defense force. I'm against the actions of certain individuals who use this position of power, take advantage of the system, put all of us in jeopardy, and endanger the lives of so many people in this country, young people in this country who they themselves involved with their illegal activity in this country. And for a very long time, the high authorities in this country, they would always hide these things. And like I say, if it wasn't for the U.S. government, certain things that have been going on in our Royal Bahamas Police Force and our Defense Force would have continued in this country. If we leave it up to our own law enforcement in this country, they would turn a blind eye, but they weren't being too quick to go lock up a young boy on the streets for selling a half a nickel bag of marijuana and get him a bad police record. Okay? Then we get officers and Defense Force officers involved with millions of dollars of illegal narcotics entering our country through them. And then they're distributing it to violent criminals in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas and causing the lives of so many people in this country. We can't give an estimate, right? But I understand the trend. I understand the trickle-down effect. And a lot of damage has been done to this country because of our law enforcement agency who was involved in illegal activity in this country. But our leaders, both parties, the opposition, Michael Pintard, the leader of the leader of the Progressive Liberal Party, Philip Brave Davis, the Commissioner of Police, the Commodore, everyone always taking up for what's wrong, but they had never spoken up for what's right and what needs to be said. These matters needs to be addressed by the Commissioner of Police, by the Prime Minister, on the conviction of these particular officers, and explain and let us know as Bahamians, what is our next step? How are we going to stop this from happening ever again in our law enforcement agency? I'm Valentino Brown, host of the talk show Inside the Industry that premieres every Friday at 6:30 to 8 p.m. on Guardian Radio 96.9. I want to give a shout out to my friend Elroy. I want to give a shout out to my friend Charms One Frankie. He owns Charms One. Fritz Lane has the cheapest car parts, radiators, transmission. You can order this. If you need some fridge and stove and all, he has those available. Okay, Charms One, import export. Scrons Corner East Street. And I give a shout out to my good friend Elroy. And to all the callers who call in tonight, you enjoy your weekend and be safe and always put God first. And remember, listen closely. See that Officer Miller? You never know how many people he treat bad. And you see now he get treated bad from his officer. You hear what he say? He don't want no one to go through that. So when you're powerful, be merciful. Because one day you could be on top, and the next day, you're going to be on the bottom. When you're powerful, be merciful. Do unto others as you'd have others do unto you. With that, I'm signing out. See you next week on Guiding Radio 96.9 FM.
Today see a young thing.